Hello and welcome back to the third episode of my Frodo challenge. I apologize to the 40-ish of you who might have been waiting on this upload. I've got some other stuff on my plate right now, and unfortunately I'm not doing this full time. I may eventually be able to though if you subscribed. Regardless, let's get right into the video. Last time we ended with the unfortunate and accidental slaughter of everyone in the Druid's Grove. Then after nearly getting murdered ourselves by Kaga, we retreated back to camp, where Withers revived my party. Next thing on my list is to check out the Goblin camp. What could go wrong? Starting our adventure, we run into a few familiar faces, the sibling friends working under the Absolute. And unfortunately no, I'm not gonna do another rap. Instead, I just killed them after accidentally revealing I was the survivor of the Nautiloid crash. Moving on, we find the owlbear cub and its mother again, and we quickly take care of the situation, before looting everything in their possession. Continuing on the road, we meet the best boy in all of Faerûn, Scratch, and we make sure he can find his way back to our camp. Now, the next thing I do may piss some of you off, so here's my reasoning. Everyone in the Druid's Grove is dead. This includes Damon, who is essential to Karlach's backstory. Will, on the other hand, is alive and well, and has proved himself a beneficial part of the team. He's also been whispering sweet nothings in my ear about how this Karlach person needs to die. And if that's not convincing enough, then the fact that Mizora rewards him with a fancy new set of armor when he kills Karlach, don't ask me how I know that by the way, should be enough to sweeten the deal. So, I'm sure it goes without saying what happened when I came across this infernal barbarian, but in case you need me to paint you a clearer picture...
Nice.
Now with Karlach dead, we paid a visit to the Paladins of Tyr, who were kind enough to gift us this sword, which we immediately used to attack them because how dare they make us kill Karlach. Anyway, here's how the fight went. After quickly moving Frodo away from the soon-to-be bloodbath, I cast Shield of Faith on Lae'zel, who then proceeded to slash into this defenseless man with his own sword, after which he put up his fists like he's ready to throw hands. Well, this is the equivalent of bringing a knife to a gunfight, so appropriately, after Lae'zel got another hit in, Will gunned him down with Eldritch Blast. Now with two enemies remaining, Will chased one of them outside, while Lae'zel and Gale teamed up on the one in the house, who happened to really hate wizards apparently, because she only launched attacks at Gale until he went down. After a few more rounds, Lae'zel got him back up, then got point-blank magic missiled and went down herself. Meanwhile, Will was really struggling to send his opponent flying off the platform because I thought if I did it successfully, it would have been really funny. Next thing I know, this annoyance of an NPC casts Hold Person on Gale before retreating to the roof. It's at this point I no longer have the luxury of messing around, so Will cleans things up with magic missile, ending the fight. After this, my party proceeded to loot virtually everything in the given area, and we're now balancing on the edge of encumbrance. And believe me, I would love to go sell my stuff to Aaron, but he's dead, and all the stuff I took off his charred, greasy corpse is only weighing me down more. This leaves me with no choice but to go to the Goblin camp, where I know there's a merchant. After getting a warm welcome from the Goblin keeping watch, we manipulated her into letting us in peacefully using our alien brainworm powers. We then made a slight detour in order to grab more loot that inevitably weighed us down more. Gale offered to make a noble sacrifice so that we could potentially continue at more than a snail's pace, and ate my gloves of heroism. Not sure if that helped much, but thanks anyway, Gale. And without any further ado, we finally made it to the entrance of the Goblin camp, and the only thing that stood in our way from the merchant, who we would shamelessly dump all our useless junk onto, was a bridge. As we crossed the bridge, we felt the influence of a powerful presence originating from the brainworm trying to manipulate us into doing its bidding. Doesn't it know manipulation is wrong? Well, our mysterious artifact seemed to think so, because it did a cool magic thing and allowed us to remain in control of our own free will just a little longer. Then, finally, we stumbled across our saving grace, Grot, the traitor. And I knew, just by looking at him, he really wanted to give me several hundred gold for my rusted weapons and rotten food. So I happily obliged and cleared up my inventory, leaving him with no money. After this, we said hello to Volo, looted this chest, and attempted to get some free XP by killing these guys in their sleep. Well, that didn't go exactly as I intended, because the very first one I hit didn't die, woke up, and then proceeded to wake up all the others. And clearly none of them were morning people, because they immediately started attacking Lae'zel before she could offer them a cup of coffee. Will and Gale then showed up with the sugar cubes and creamer, but they just weren't having it, so it was evidently my job to put them back to sleep. I then had Frodo sneak around to the ledge, so if need be, he could heal the heavy hitters, and with that, the combat began. The battle started with Lae'zel slashing into the stubborn one who had woken everyone else up. She still didn't quite down him though, cause a goblin had thrown him a potion the round before. Frodo then threw a potion on Lae'zel and officially entered the initiative. Following this, Gale downed one of the goblins with Firebolt. And then Lae'zel proceeded to land another attack on this stubborn-ass motherfucker, who continued to avoid death on 1 hit point. Frodo continued his job of healing then running, and Will gambled on a single magic missile, finishing off a low HP goblin in favor of hitting a different one with 2. It worked out in the end, and here's the message you should take away from that.
I love when gambling pays off. Always gamble, kids, okay?
And then finally, Lae'zel finished off that stupid, tanky-ass hobgoblin, who I know is burning in the pits of Avernus. Clearly, his friend wanted vengeance though, because he ran up to Lae'zel and hit her with a powerful blow, reducing her to 4 hit points. She returned to the favor with an attack that did 11 damage. Gale finished the final goblin with Firebolt, and only the bugbear remained. Or is it a hobgoblin? I'm not really sure, to be honest. Either way, this poor creature was screwed. It spent its last agonizing moments drenched in poison, courtesy of Frodo, before being killed by another one of Gale's firebolts. Following this unnecessary encounter, I started another one when I saw this guy had a book written by the bard Volo. After politely asking for it and being rudely refused, I killed him and took everything he owned.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Now my party was looking a bit worn out, so I decided to take a long rest. This long rest was very eventful, as Lae'zel fought the urge to kill Frodo and take the One Ring for herself, before being tucked down.
Give it to me! Give it to me! No! Give it to me! No!
Then, as Frodo went to sleep, Gandalf decided to show up so he could give me an in-depth explanation as to why we can't just fly the eagles to Baldur's Gate. He then left again, as he has many important wizard things to do. The next morning, Scratch showed up at my camp and received many pets, and now we're on our way to the inner goblin camp. Once inside, we again abused our alien mind powers to manipulate the goblins into letting us go freely. We then ignored Priestess Gut running right past her, and we made our way to Minthara's chambers. Now, we all know I never intended for the slaughter of the Grove, however, it already happened despite my attempts to stop it. So, with that in mind, why wouldn't I recruit Minthara to my party if the dirty work's already taken care of? I'm going to find out later though, this was also a huge mistake. Well, regardless, my decision was already made, and I told Minthara to meet me at the Grove. I then backtracked into the Goblin camp and freed Volo, who said he would stop by my camp. I then went into the prison area where I found goblin children throwing rocks at a defenseless bear. And I mean, who can resist killing goblin children? As the combat began, the goblin known as One thought he could make a quick escape and alert his friends. Well, unfortunately for him, me and my good pal Magic Missile didn't foresee that plan working out. On the very next turn, the goblin child named 3 made the same mistake as 1 and made a bolt for the door. I think we all know how this goes.
Oh, 3.
Lae'zel got a powerful attack off on the spider, the bear wandered his way out of the cage and slashed into a goblin, and one of the goblins freed the wargs. Will spams more magic missiles, Gale is effectively useless due to being blinded by the spider, and Lae'zel action surges on Butcher Vrock, hitting him twice. I still don't kill him though. Goblins gang up on Lae'zel and her hit points quickly drop to 1. Meanwhile, the spider is bullying a blind Gale who has 3 HP remaining. As Gale attempts to run away from the spider, he provokes an opportunity attack and goes down. Following this, Will, who's been carrying the team this entire playthrough, finishes Vrock off with more magic missiles. I then neglect to use the shield spell on Will because he still has all his hit points and I want to keep his spell slots. And he ends up taking half his health and damage. Meanwhile, Frodo's just kinda chilling in the back, and I realize now I could have probably sent him up to heal. Will then once again uses our favorite spell, Magic Missile, and reduces Warrior Plague to a single hit point, which I'm noticing is happening a lot. Our bear friend kills a warg, Will finally kills Warrior Plague, and Lae'zel casts Shield of Faith on the final enemy. Yeah, it was a very unfortunate misclick. Anyway, Frodo finally decides to be helpful and heals Gale by throwing a potion, and the bear kills the final enemy despite Lae'zel's attempts to stop it. We then discover the bear was just a man the entire time, this man's name being Halsin, also known as the actual leader of the Druid's Grove. Well, it would have been an awkward conversation if I mentioned everyone in the Grove is dead because of my actions, so I carefully avoided the topic, accepted his gratitude for saving him, and then left in a hurry. On our way back to the Grove to check up with Minthara, Gale once again asked to eat my magic items. I explained to him we were no longer encumbered and that wouldn't be necessary, but he was very insistent, so I watched silently while he ate my shoes. Thanks, Gale. You're doing great. Anyway, after Gale's snack time, I went to see if Minthara was there yet, and only found Kaga and her goons still waiting for me. So I quickly turned around, deciding I would pursue that later. So going back to the blighted village we had briefly passed through earlier, we found a goblin named Frodo messing with a deep gnome by tying him to a windmill. Well, as a halfling myself, I couldn't let this torment of a fellow short king go unpunished. And my goblin friend here was going to learn that the hard way. Or he was if he didn't smarten up at the last second, deciding he valued his life more than messing with a gnome. And originally he did. He was gonna leave with his friends and there would be no problems. But then something strange happened and we were all dragged into a fight. You can see for yourself.
Who's he in
Or
dialogue
you
with?
playing heads? Come here, my blade's lonesome.
What the fuck?
Some healing for a wizard in need.
So I was clearly very confused, and I started this combat at a major disadvantage as Gale immediately got shot by 2 goblins and only had 1 hit point left. I immediately sent Frodo to hide in a building because I didn't see this going well, and Gale cast Shatter on 3 of the goblins. There was no turning back now. I then had Gale drink a healing potion and moved him to the back. It didn't help at all though, cause Frodo threw a smoke powder bomb, dealing damage to Will and taking him out. Things were now looking very, very bad, and I wasn't entirely sure where to go from here. And if you want to find out what happens next, like, subscribe with notifications on, and be on the lookout for the next video. Thanks for watching.